The Hapans are actually one of the most explored and most relevant minor factions in the Star Wars galaxy, being introduced first in the Courtship of Princess Leia novel, and then playing key roles in the fight against Warlord Zinj, the Yuuzhan Vong War, the Dark Nest Crisis, and probably most importantly, this Second Galactic Civil War. They were a matriarchal society ruled by a figure known as the Queen Mother, which is distinct from the usual real-world use where that title denotes the mother of a ruler, not the ruling monarch themselves. There were other titles for the Queen Mother, like the Erinata, which means she who has no equals, and another title which we'll get to and which causes a lot of confusion. But more generally today, we'll be breaking down the known Hapan royal family tree, including going over some common speculation about certain members. Because why have a royal family if you can't gossip about them? The history of the Hapan monarchy goes back 4,000 years before the Battle of Yavin, when the Hapes Consortium was formed by a group of primarily female former slaves to a group of pirates called the Laurel Raiders. Despite the fact that the Jedi played a key role in freeing the future Hapes Consortium, public opinion about the Jedi actually remained fairly negative around the time of the Empire. Around the time of the Consortium's founding, they also started construction on the Star Home, the royal flagship which has survived until modern times. The first Queen Mother about whom we have any real information is Nikorish, who reigned from before the Clone Wars into at least the early periods of the Empire. In Courtship of Princess Leia, the current Queen Mother and daughter of Nikorish, Chume, tells Luke that her mother had allowed a small group of Jedi refugees to form an academy on the minor Hapan world of Rebawam until they were hunted down and killed by Darth Vader. This, it turned out, was just a big lie, and we know that because her son, Prince Isolde, asked her why she was lying to Luke, pointing out that Nikorish hated Jedi as much as the Emperor had, a trait shared by Chume herself, given that she referred to them as, quote, an oligarchy of spoonbenders and readers of auras, end quote. While Nikorish most likely died early on in the reign of the Emperor, her ideas about the Jedi did continue to live on in the Consortium, which we'll see later on as well, partially but not exclusively through her daughter Chume. Chume was her eldest daughter and immediate successor, but Nikorish had several other daughters as well. I'm going to talk about this next cluster of characters on screen here together, because there's a few ways the tree can be pieced together, and there's not a ton of information about any of them individually. The second eldest daughter of Nikorish was named Sekia. We don't learn much about her other than that she did have a daughter, whom Prince Isolde, the son of Chume, notes as the next successor to the throne if Isolde failed to find a wife, given that only a woman can rule Hapes. I didn't include that daughter here for two reasons. One is because I'm primarily trying to use those for generational gaps in known connections, as we have just to the right with the missing other sister leading to these two other siblings, Chellick and Alicia. The second reason is that it's actually most likely that Chellick and Alicia are the children of Sekia. There's a plot to remove Tenel Ka, the granddaughter of Chume, from the throne of Hapes, which was undertaken by Chellick as a hopeful and legitimate successor. It is possible there were more intermediate generations she'd be attempting to remove, or that other individuals had already been killed off in the years between the Yuuzhan Vong War and the Courtship of Princess Leia. But the interpretation that involves adding the fewest characters is that Sekia is the mother of Chellick and Alicia. Then there's no specific hypothetical characters that we need to add. So I at least think it's perfectly reasonable to assume Chellick and Alicia actually belong right under Sekia in this chart, right above where it says to like this video and subscribe for more. That brings us to Chume herself. We don't know the exact date she took or left the position of Queen Mother. We know she took the crown sometime after Palpatine took power, but before the Battle of Yavin most likely, and that she likely left it shortly after her son's marriage to Teneniel Jo, which occurred in 8 ABY, possibly closer to the birth of their daughter Tenel Ka, which occurred within the next year or so. She survived long after stepping down from her position, and we never get a direct confirmation of her death. Jacen Solo, the secret lover of Tenel Ka and father of her daughter Alana, essentially force-blasted Chume's mind, causing a brain hemorrhage in 35 ABY, to prevent her from continuing her assassination attempts against Alana. Despite having given up her throne almost 30 years before, she never stopped messing around in Hapan politics. This never gets confirmed as killing her, and Jacen calls for doctors right after, so it's possible that she stayed alive in some form, but it's a pretty massive brain hemorrhage and she's never mentioned again except in passing. But I also mentioned at the start of the video that there might be another name just used for the Queen Mother, and that might actually be Chume. So Chume's name may have been intended not as a personal name, but either as a title in full or in part. Sources are kind of mixed on this, and the later you go, the more it gets solidified as just being her personal name. The second part, Chume or Chume, was at least some sort of indicator of royalty, whether that's because it was a title in and of itself, or because their family name kind of got combined with royal meaning. Ta Chume's son, Prince Isolde, is referred to as the Chume Da, and then Chume Ta is also used as part of Tenel Ka's name, albeit part that she prefers to not get brought up because she doesn't like her grandmother all that much. So it seems like it's kind of as if their last name just means royal. The capital city of Hapes is even known as Ta Chumdan, so it was either a newer city or it got renamed with each queen, or a secret third thing. It's never mentioned as being particularly highly populated, so it being an administrative center that was built up more recently wouldn't be that surprising. But again, as time went on, things went more in the direction of Ta Chume just being her full personal name, rather than a built-in title that passed between queen mothers. Most salaciously though, whatever her true name was, there had been rumors of an affair between Palpatine and Ta Chume, with people theorizing that was why the Empire never tried a full-scale invasion of Hapan space. In reality, it was likely just seen as more trouble than it was worth. The Hapans were very isolationist, and Imperial attempts to fight them usually ended up in captured Star Destroyers. Ta Chume did not have any daughters, but she had at least 3 sons. The eldest, named Kaelin, was murdered by the Hapan pirate Heravan 2 years after the Battle of Yavin. Isolde, who had been very close to his older brother, swore to track down his murderer, managing to find him 2 years later already dead. Ta Chume had in fact hired the pirates to kill Kaelin, feeling he was unfit to be a ruler. Isolde and his, at this point, hypothetical wife then became next in line for the throne after his mother. While initially the Hapans had hoped that Isolde would marry Princess Leia, solidifying an alliance between the New Republic and the Hapans, Isolde instead fell in love with a Dathomiri witch named Teneniel Jo, daughter of War Master Elia Jo of the Singing Mountain clan and granddaughter of clan mother Ogwyn Jo. This horrified Ta Chume, given that Teneniel was not just a commoner, but a force-wielding commoner, leading to significant conflict between the two during Teneniel's reign, which lasted until her death during the Yuzan Vong War in 27 ABY. Teneniel and Isolde had one daughter, Tenel Ka, who initially had no interest in ruling. Before her death, though, Teneniel was pregnant with another child. However, when the Hapan fleet was wiped out by a misfired shot from Centerpoint Station during Hapan participation in the defense of Fondor, the shock through the force of so many Hapan deaths caused her to miscarry and sent her into a catatonic state. Ta Chume enlisted the help of an anti-Jedi cult, the Nikorish, named after her mother, to poison and kill Teneniel, successfully removing her from the throne but failing to achieve her ultimate goal of marrying Isolde off to a new partner, Jaina Solo, who was, funnily enough, also a Jedi herself. This failed partially because Jaina had no interest in marrying her friend's father, but also because the previously reluctant Tenel Ka stepped in to take her mother's throne. Before we move on from Ta Chume, though, we do know a bit about her other secret children. Tenel Ka is revealed to have at least 2 first cousins, twins named Trista and Terran Zell, who are supremely loyal to Tenel Ka and Isolde, working in support of them in the Second Galactic Civil War. Ben Skywalker was surprised by their existence, saying Isolde was an only child, which we already knew to be false from his first appearance, but it's understandable Ben wouldn't know that, or that I guess Troy Denning wouldn't know that. The Zell sisters said he was actually just the only surviving legitimate son, so their father was another of those sons, and he was either illegitimate or, more likely, already dead by that point. Tenel Ka, born in either late 8 ABY or early 9 ABY, was somewhat torn between 2 cultures, having been raised and groomed from a young age, particularly by her manipulative grandmother, to become the next Hapan ruler, while also feeling a strong affinity for her mother's Dathomiri witch culture. She attended Luke Skywalker's Jedi Academy as well, probably horrifying the anti-Jedi Ta Chume even more. She became close friends with Lobaka, the nephew of Chewbacca, as well as Han and Leia Solo's twin children, Jason and Jaina, developing the beginnings of a romantic relationship with Jason in their childhood, although it would take another decade or so before Jason became the young ruler's unofficial secret consort. Their daughter together, Alana Jo, or Alana Chumta Jo Solo, was born in 36 ABY after a pregnancy intentionally extended by Tenel Ka, making even Jason unaware whose daughter she was until Tenel Ka told him specifically, and it would be another 5 years before even Alana's own aunt and grandparents, Jaina, Han, and Leia, became aware of who her father was. Tenel Ka remained on the throne throughout the rest of the published novels, bringing her to at least 44 ABY, though she was succeeded by Alana sometime after that, and before 130 ABY in the Legacy comics, at which point Alana may or may not have still been alive. A character, especially a Force-sensitive one, living to be just slightly over 100 wouldn't actually be that surprising. But we never actually see who is ruling the Hapans at this point, I don't think. The Legacy comics aren't my strongest point, but I don't think anything in the source book or the comics mentions anything about who is specifically still ruling Hapes. In 40 ABY though, Jacen Solo, wanting to prevent visions of a galaxy falling apart and posing a danger to Alana, fell to the dark side and became Darth Caedus. Initially, Tenel Ka and the Hapans were allied to the Sith Lord, but after Darth Caedus kidnapped Alana to prevent any possible betrayal by the Hapans, even Tenel Ka turned against him and participated in the attempts to end his reign. Jacen died in a duel with his sister while trying to warn Tenel Ka about a plot by the Imperial Moffs to kill Tenel Ka and Alana, giving some hope that in his final moments he had become the Jacen she had loved again. But shortly before, in the same battle, Jacen had killed her father, Prince Isolde, keeping the record of only royal family members killing other royal family members intact if we're counting Jacen as a member of the royal family through his parentage of Alana. Well, at least as far as named characters go. At the same battle, the Battle of Shedumad, where Isolde and Jacen die, there are a bunch of other Hapan nobles who are killed with connections to Tenel Ka and the rest of the royal family, who are actually killed by an Imperial nano-killer virus which targets their DNA. This connection through Jacen to the Skywalker family also means the Hapan royals are connected to the next generation of Imperial rulers, the Solo Fel dynasty, and other important families like the Antilles, because everyone in Star Wars is related. In Legends, Han is also connected to the old ruling family of Corellia, so the Hapans, the Corellians, the Imperials, these are all ruled by the same family. While we have no confirmation of Alana having any children, we do know in the Legacy comics of a character named Anya Solo running around the galaxy, and she's confirmed to be a descendant of Han and Leia specifically. Their youngest son Anakin died very young and before having any kids, so she is descended from either Jacen through Alana specifically, making her Hapan in that case, or from Jaina through her kids with Jagged Fel. So it's unknown whether she was from some branch of Jaina's descendants through the Fel dynasty, having reclaimed the Solo name, but given that Alana spent a lot of time with Han and Leia after the Legacy of the Force books, it's more likely that she had and kept the Solo name and passed that down to Anya. Again, we only really have speculation here though. That's going to do it for today. I think I may do a full family tree going through everyone we know who's connected to the Skywalkers at some point or another, so let me know what you think about that idea. Thanks for watching, and a special thanks to the patrons and channel members who keep this channel going. Remember to leave a like and subscribe for more if you've enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you next time.